So yeah, as of today, this thing has over 13,000 views. It has 755 likes, which is crazy because that's more views than I get on most things. So like,
I mean, I run a corporate brand and we wouldn't have 755
yeah,
likes on
no,
almost anything.
most people in your position would go crazy for that.
Greetings and hello. Welcome back. I'm John Hanley, and this is Giant Task. And this is the podcast to help you navigate your marketing success, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're a marketing professional, or whether this is your first chance to dive into either content creation or building your own brand. Um, we're going to help you answer those questions you have by talking about what we've navigated throughout our careers. My name is John Hanley. I'm chief marketing officer for a bank in the Midwest, but that's not the important part. The important part is our guest, and I'll let our guest, as always, Thad Bargman, introduce himself.
Thanks, John. Glad to be here. I am Thad Bargman, Thad the Theme Park Giant, I go by on YouTube and social media. And I am a full time content creator for theme parks and roller coasters.
That is awesome. How'd you come up with the name Theme Park Giant?
Well, I thought about the name for a while because typically my first love, I say, is roller coasters.
Sure.
But when I was thinking about branding of the channel, I didn't want to be too just focused on one thing. So I thought, what can I do with theme park to be more broad? And especially because the long term goal was to get down here to Orlando and be doing more of the Disney, Universal, those theme parks daily. And then on top of that, I am a shade under 6'5", so I thought the name Giant went really well. Um, you know, theme park giant, I think, just sounds good as a brand, and then when you know that I am a giant human being, I think it plays in really well. So that's where I came up with that one.
That's awesome. So let's pretend I've never been to a theme park or a roller coaster, which might be true. But what's
Might
what's
be.
the difference like for somebody that doesn't know your market?
So that's a really good question. And you actually probably have never been to a theme park or on a roller coaster. That is funny
I
that
have been on a roller coaster,
we're
so if
such
anything,
good
you know
friends
why.
and we don't share that hobby at all. But
Right, right.
so I would say
I'm also 6'3", but maybe my knees are worse when I get into roller
I
coasters.
could be because your legs are probably longer. I'm all torso, but the I'd say the main difference. So to to me and a lot of people in the industry, I would say there's theme parks and there's amusement parks.
Okay.
Um, your theme parks are more of your, I mean, just how they sound. You're going to see more theming. So Disney, when you go to a Disney park, everything's themed. Uh, from the bricks on Main Street, like I mean, they spent probably weeks picking out which one they were gonna put in there. Like the music that plays, like it's one of those weird things. If you're ever in a park after hours and like the ambient sound is not there, it's really creepy. And then
Wow.
you just realize how important that stuff is to like playing into the day.
Yeah.
As you go from Adventureland where it might be like jungle theme music and go to Frontierland and it slowly morphs into this like Western theme.
Okay.
And you'll notice the theming goes from, a jungle area in Adventureland. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you're in the Wild West as you like walk into Frontierland. So you have more like, I call it like upscale theming because then your next kind of step down. So I put like Disney, Universal, probably your top
Yeah.
theme parks in terms of they invest heavily in the theming. You go to Universal, Harry Potter, the stuff they've done is absolutely incredible. I'm not even a big Harry Potter
They're
guy.
on brand. You'd say they're on brand from moment one.
Yeah,
Everything is a branded experience, which one of the reasons folks in my position actually look at Disney a lot is because of their ability to brand. But
yeah.
an amusement park would be different. And if I'm hearing you correctly, amusement park is kind of like a big carnival. Is that right? Or am I
A
being too?
little, I mean, they can be. So because so there's that top tier. Your next tier down, I'd put like the Busch
Okay.
Gardens and SeaWorld parks
Okay.
in there. because they try to do some theming. They may have some intellectual properties that they pay for, like
Sure.
Sesame Streets at SeaWorld and Busch
Yeah.
Gardens. I'm trying to think of any other big IPs they have. Sesame Street's their big one. But so like they have a really well themed kids area all the
Yeah.
time. You know, you have Air Grover roller coaster at most of them. You'll see the characters out and about, but it's not as nice,
Yeah.
as Disney and those things. Now they'll have bigger thrill rides typically, so
Okay.
they're kind of this combination of an amusement park and a theme park. Because now as we go down like another level to like Cedar Fair and Six
Yeah.
Flags, those are, and I don't even like to compare Cedar Fair and Six Flags because Six Flags is kind of the really bottom bin for the chains. Like Cedar Fair's parks are actually really nice. They take
Yeah.
care of them. Six Flags doesn't always tend to maintain things or clean things very well. They put in giant roller coasters, and that's the draw. Now they also have like the DC Comics theming and things like
Sure.
that. So you'll get Batman rides, Superman rides, but it's usually like we threw the Batman logo on the entrance sign, and
Got it.
we might half-ass the queue with a little theming that we're never
Okay.
going to keep up, and in 2 years none of it will work. So
Nice.
that's kind of the difference. And then there's those other, maybe not chains, but specific, like Adventureland in Des Moines is an
Sure.
amusement park,
There's
So,
probably many one-off
oh
amusement
yeah,
parks
there's
throughout
a
the
ton.
country.
I mean, like this map here on my wall, like most of these are chains. Like that's the top 50
Yeah.
parks in the US, but there's a lot of one-offs that I
Sure.
guarantee a lot of people listen to this have never heard of unless they're
Right.
like into theme park stuff. So, yeah, it's that theme park to amusement park difference to me is always the theming is number one. Um, where like Six Flags, it's like thrill rides. We don't really care if your family comes.
Yeah.
Like we're going for the teens. We're going for the young 20
Yeah.
demographic. And if the families come with that, great. But we're not going to go out of our way to make it like a big family day. Six Flags goes back and forth with that every few years when
Yeah.
they bring in a new CEO. It's never really
Yeah.
worked for them. But so that's the big difference in my eyes.
Interesting.
Just
So
yeah,
there's a market for any sorts of targets in there. It's a matter of adherence to it, how deep you go, and the analysis you do within it.
yep,
You're obviously in the right spot in near Orlando, Tampa, Florida, with
yep.
saturation of theme parks and amusement parks to draw content from.
Yeah, it's I mean just it's crazy to think about, but I live in the Orlando area. There's 4 Disney parks. They have 2 water parks.
Yeah.
Um Universal has 2 parks and then a water park on top of that. SeaWorld has a park and a water park. There's
Yeah.
Legoland. Um they have another smaller park for kids. What is it? Peppa Pig themed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you have Busch Gardens. So I mean, and Busch Gardens has their own water park too.
Yeah.
So just theme park or water park, I think it's 12 within an
Yeah.
hour and a half
Yeah.
drive of me. So
Yeah.
just thinking of that if you're trying to create daily content for theme parks, this is the place to be. You're exactly
Yeah.
right. And then you add in Disney Springs, which is like their outdoor shopping
Okay.
area. You can go spend it. You can spend hours there looking at merchandise. You can do
Yeah.
dining reviews over there. They have a bunch of restaurants, things like that. Like I
Yeah.
ate at Art Smith's
Yeah.
place a couple weeks ago while I was over there. But and then Universal has City Walk. So like, there's all these opportunities. And then when you think, maybe down the road, I start getting into more like go to the actual resorts and do reviews on the rooms and things like that. Disney has 50 resorts. I mean,
Wow. Yeah.
just on the Disney property. I mean, that's the thing if you've never been down here. And what fascinates me about the whole Disney World thing, it was never the characters, it was never the movies. The parks just fascinate me. And
Yeah.
like the logistics of if you come down here, it's the Disney World property is the same size as Manhattan.
Yeah.
So, and it's so well built and the infrastructure is amazing because they're their own government. We don't need to get into that discussion on this show, but they build everything perfectly. Um, and it fascinates me. There's 500,000 people probably driving around on a daily basis. there's no traffic. Everything is like well thought out. That's the stuff that just blows my mind down here.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
so yeah, when I talk about 50 resorts at Disney, and then they all have 3 4 restaurants, like, so you can be doing content for years and not even duplicate. Like, if I went to a different restaurant every day, I don't even know how long it would take me to eat at every Disney restaurant. And that's just
Yeah.
Disney. We're not
Yeah.
talking Universal, we're not talking SeaWorld or any of the other places. That's just one place. And then we're not even getting into offsite stuff. I mean, Orlando's just got so much crazy stuff going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And then, like, on top of it, there's a Universal's building what I think is going to be the best theme park in the world when it opens in 2 years. So that's like a huge deal right now. Like, because you can see the roller coasters going up already. Like, I'm actually going to try to drive over there in the next week or two to actually go look at it, because just what I've
Interesting.
seen, it looks crazy. So that's my thing. Like, there's so much going on here. You can stay busy doing content
Yeah.
forever. I mean, that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Definitely right with subjects. So how many times have you been to the park so far? Over 50 since you moved?
Since I moved, no. So I've been here, what, about 40 days, I guess, looking at the
Yeah.
calendar, and I have probably been to the parks over 30 of those days.
Okay.
I typically
And
go for 3 to 5 hours. I did have some family in town, so like
yeah,
for a week there, we were doing a little longer with them. But that's also something I love. Like, I mean, I live close enough. I hear the Magic Kingdom fireworks every night.
yeah.
I can walk out my front door and watch them if I want to.
Interesting.
I can hear the
Cool.
train at the Magic Kingdom. I can hear the ferry boat, the whistle, like when I have my dog out. So like that's how close I am. So I love that. Like, I went to Epcot um, last week. I met some friends for lunch because they just moved down here too. And then we rode 2 rides and we walked around for a little bit. That was it. We had a great day, right? I
Yeah.
mean, just like Epcot to me is like going to a park and walking around, like not
Yeah.
a theme park, just like a park, like, and
I've
going for
heard
a
this.
walk.
I've heard this about Epcot.
Yeah,
Many people
Epcot's the
say
place you
that
can
it's
go. You
different.
don't even need to ride anything. You can have a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah.
So it's that's just the stuff I love. So yeah, I go a lot. I've been trying to. I took a little break from doing content here the last week or so, but I had been doing probably 4 to 5 videos a week. Those first probably 4 weeks
Interesting.
I was down here.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
you're
yeah,
posting those videos to your YouTube channel, which is
yep, theme park giant. Um, so yeah, I put my long form videos out there. Right now, it's just been all day in the park,
yeah.
kind of vlogging. I'm reevaluating some things, and I've had some long term, bigger picture things I
Yeah.
wanted to do, and I need to start getting into that because I don't really have a great plan when I go into the parks each time right
Okay.
now. I think that's my biggest issue. I kind of rushed into this when I got down here because I just felt like I should get going.
Well, the
I'm
content
here.
is all there, right? There's you like you said, there's
Yep.
50 theme parks. There's
Yeah. And
hundreds
like,
of people visiting
and my
every day.
thing was, well, I'm gonna go to the parks.
Yeah.
I have the passes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm I only have a couple friends down here. Like, I'm not hanging out with a lot of people unless they're
Yeah.
like visiting. So like, yeah, I'm gonna be at the parks anyway. I might as well be recording and putting content out. And I think just what I realized after about 3 or 4 weeks, one, I'm still pretty burnt out from the
Sure.
corporate world, and I don't think I gave myself enough time to just chill, clear my head. So I felt really rushed. I felt really, I don't know. And then I was just pumping out content daily, and even I'm like, I don't think this is very good right now cuz like I'm not coming in with a plan each day. It's like, well, I'll figure out when I get to the park, but
Would you describe it as like pressure to produce like perfection each time, or just pressure to just produce content overall? Is that what you were feeling?
I think it's pressure to produce content
Okay.
because you need to be out there. Like, you'll see your numbers drop
Yeah.
significantly even if you don't put something out for like 2 or 3 days. And
Yeah.
I'm on like day 8 or 9 now, and like,
Yeah.
yeah, my numbers have fallen.
Sure.
um but I'm trying to think where I was going with that. um might need to help me on that.
Your numbers have fallen, but you have the pressure to produce things.
Yes, yes,
So
and then so then on top of it, when I was producing things, my numbers were either state like just kind of flatlining or going down.
mhm,
A couple things would get a little bump up, like I went to
yeah,
this one after hours party at after Apcot. It was the first time they ever did one. So I got
yeah,
like 600 views on that, which is decent for me, but then a lot of them aren't even getting 100. So
yes,
it's like the thought of, well, why would I just keep putting stuff out right now if I know it's not hitting? Because
yeah,
that's just going to frustrate me more. And so I just took that step back to just kind of clear my head. I still went to the parks, probably 6 of those 8 or 9 days. And I did have some friends in town too, I was hanging out with. But so it's like I still love going to the parks. That's never going to change. It's just, what do I need to do on my end to be more structured, have a better plan when I go in to the park? Like, I should have certain goals I'm trying to do.
sure,
Because a lot of times I get in there and I'll do my intro video and I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. And I almost always say I'm going to go eat at like some restaurant that I have in my head. And then I almost never feel like eating when I'm
yeah,
there. So it's like I need to stop introducing something I'm not going to actually do, first of all. But I need to at least have a few bullet points of like, I know I want to do this ride and maybe
yeah,
go to this, and actually do those. And then whatever else happens, okay, that's gravy. But have a plan for have a plan for each thing that you're putting out that is the main point of it.
yeah.
So
So
I just need to get better about my planning.
yeah, well, I think that's a challenge for a lot of folks doing marketing is, how much do you deviate from a plan and how much time and effort do you put into a plan? And that's what you're learning, and that's what we're going to talk about in real time here.
Yep.
When we come back from the break, this is fascinating about theme parks. As a marketer, I'm thinking, man, this is a giant category, and somebody is going to strike gold off of this, in their CMO role for a theme park someday.
Hmm.
But when we come back, we'll talk about some of your early successes with videos, and then
Hmm.
maybe some of the questions and metrics around that after the break.
All right.
Well, welcome back. So Thad, I know you've had some early success with a couple videos, and talk about the Instagram reel, if you would.
Yeah. So there's probably so when I first got down here, one of the first things I wanted to get more into was Instagram and TikTok. I don't even use TikTok personally. I tried to get into it like a year ago. The algorithm did not figure me out. Didn't get it at all. Like, so I
TikTok is the first thing I ask my staff, like, will this work on TikTok? Because it has helped me feel old in real time.
yeah,
And I don't think I'm that old,
I
but
feel so old with TikTok. Like Instagram makes me feel old, but TikTok I feel like I'm 90. I mean, it's like I've never looked at a phone. So yeah, I wanted to start messing with it, and I just started throwing in my head because I don't use either of them really. Like I have a
Instagram,
personal
Instagram,
Instagram, but I never go
Instagram and
on
TikTok, you
there.
mean?
Yeah,
Instagram.
Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Um, so in my eyes, it was like, well, when I'm at the park, I'll film like a 10-second things of like, hey, I'm in the park right now, and like this is what I'm doing, or like just random things like here's
Yep.
Cinderella's castle, or like I'm gonna ride Big Thunder Mountain, here's the train rolling into the station, stuff like that. And my thought is like, so you do that and you get people, and then you're like, to watch the whole day, video, come to my YouTube
Yep.
channel and
Yep.
you'll see, the full vlog for this day.
Yep.
And I think there's a place for that. Like I've had some successes, like you're asking about. So one that I had a lot of success was I was at Animal Kingdom one day, and there's so the movie Up, which I'm sure you probably never watched, but
I'm
there's
familiar.
there is a character in it. It's a giant bird named Kevin,
Kevin the
and
Bird. Right.
yes, Kevin the bird, and they have a really cool walk around character in the
Yeah.
parks. So, most of them are just the person in the costume,
Sure.
but occasionally you'll get like actual puppeteers and like things like this. So Kevin's this really cool character who's like 8, 9 feet tall, and it's a person controlling everything, and they're a puppet,
Yeah.
but like it's a hilarious interaction. Like he's squawking in your face, he's this big crazy bird and whatever. So I just happened to be walking by and I'd only seen him one time before. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I'm recording him, interacting with guests and stuff. And I throw it out there and I put it on TikTok. I put it on Instagram and I put it on YouTube Shorts. Um, I had just turned, um, sorry, I'm pulling up actual numbers here so I can like
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
tell you. But so I had just turned notifications on because I usually don't have them on for my social media stuff because it's annoying. But because I get a lot of interaction on Facebook, it's your
Yes.
favorite thing to watch. But my Instagram, I'm just getting alerts, alerts, alerts. And I'm like, what is going on? And I was in the parks, wasn't really looking at it. And after about 45 minutes, I finally go in and it had like, I mean, hundreds of likes already and was
Yeah.
at like 6,000 views in about 45 minutes. And my biggest Instagram reel had been maybe 8 or 900.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was pretty shocking. Um, so yeah, as of today, this thing has over 13,000 views. It has 755 likes, which is crazy because that's more views than I get on most things. So like,
I mean, I run a corporate brand and we wouldn't have 755
yeah,
likes on
no,
almost anything.
most people in your position would go crazy for that. Like, I mean, unless you're at a giant company,
Yeah,
like, yeah.
exactly. Yep.
But so then, if I go look at TikTok, I may not have been on TikTok yet when I put that one out. I wasn't. So, but my YouTube short for that was, this is great,
Great radio.
great
Look this up.
content for
You think,
everyone while I scroll through this.
but the main thrust is that Instagram succeeded and YouTube lagged in this
Yeah.
particular content.
1.6 thousand views on YouTube,
Yeah.
which is decent for me.
Yeah.
I get a lot of those 1.5 to 2,000 in
Yeah.
there. YouTube does pretty well for me, so,
Yeah.
for some reason. But yeah, so like, why did this Kevin video hit on one, right? And not,
Yeah.
I guess it did okay on YouTube, but not, YouTube gets
It didn't hit
bigger
like you
in
would
my
expect.
eyes. Like 13,000 on Instagram is probably, if I had to guess, 40 or 50,000 on
Okay.
YouTube. Like it, just
Okay.
because I know there's way more people getting fed stuff on YouTube. So then I was at Animal Kingdom again last week one day and I ran into Kevin again. So I'm like, well, let's see what happens. You know,
Yes.
I use the same hashtags. I use a similar like caption.
Yep.
Uh, Instagram, it has 92 views.
That is amazing.
92 views.
It's amazing.
12,900 less views than the same like content from a few weeks ago. Like,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm like confused because I
Sure.
get TikTok's a different avenue, YouTube's a different avenue, but
But
Instagram,
it would seem then like you can figure out how to program to Instagram because you had the one success, but that may not be the case, is
right?
what
Yeah, I thought
you've heard.
maybe I had something, and that's like,
Yeah.
and then like the weird things are like, you spoke in the last episode about your client that asked you to do a viral video.
Yes.
So you would love this attraction actually, but Star Wars Rise of the
Right.
Resistance at Hollywood Studios is, I won't spoil much, but it's like a 20-minute
Yeah.
attraction. It's
Yeah, I've
like
heard that.
there's
Yeah.
actual like people are actors, like you're getting taken through things, you're getting put in jail, like the rebel, like you're part of the Jedi. But there's a part where you get boarded by the Empire.
Yeah.
And as you walk into this room, there's probably 40 or 50 Star Wars stormtrooper animatronics like lined
Sure.
up. And like it's space. Like in the
Right.
movies, you're in one of the ships. Like It's so
This would be
cool.
like your top level theme
Oh,
execution.
yeah, it's
That's
one of the best. It's probably the greatest reveal I've ever seen at a park. Like, and
interesting.
especially how they did it, which I won't ruin, but
Yeah.
so I'm like, "Oh, Star Wars does real well, Disney does real well." Like, I had a stormtrooper like interacting with people, and that video got me like 5,000 views on YouTube one day. So I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be great!" Like, what a combo! And like, it got nothing. Like,
Interesting.
I'm
That's
thinking minimum 5K on this, and it didn't really get anything. So yeah, it's just that like, are my hashtags bad? Are my captions not good? Like, does it matter what
cool.
I write on
Right.
the TikTok, in the caption compared to what the caption itself is? Like, I don't understand all that.
Yeah. So I think looking at it, we may not know, right?
No.
You may never know because you can try and reproduce that video as much as possible. And there are variables like time, luck. We aren't breaking new ground by telling people that you probably have 2, 3 seconds to hook folks on
Yep.
Reels or TikTok, no
Yep.
matter what. Um, and you probably didn't do anything drastically different there than your next time.
Nope. Good question. But
So then I would say, we may never be able to figure out, and this is true for any sort of marketing. If I have a Facebook advertisement that gets 100 conversions versus a Twitter post that gets 30 conversions, something like that, at what point do you as a content creator start looking at just going forward instead of the why this one thing happened? And what
yeah,
would your steps be?
I think I would think in the next few months I'll probably be doing a lot of looking back, just because. Um, So one thing you talked about, is how soon do you scrap an idea or like rework something? And like my background in software, so there's a thing called agile development, which typically runs in like 2 week
Yeah,
sprints. So you get something that the business comes to you. We want a website that we sell pizza
yeah,
on. I don't know. So your first couple weeks, you pick out a few things that you're going to do. Maybe we have the initial like order
yeah,
screen. So you do that and then you go to them, after 2 weeks and you show them. And they might look at it and go, "Oh, that's awesome. Keep going." Or like, "Oh, this isn't what we were thinking at all for
yeah,
this. Scrap it." Like, cuz the whole idea with agile is to always be incrementally like improving things. So, we used to do waterfall projects. So you do a
yeah,
6 month project and you laid everything out. And at the end of that 6 months, your website was done. And that was it. And
yeah,
you did a whole requirement process leading up to that with the business. And nothing really changed after those were locked in. Well, that's all different now.
yeah,
You don't get 6 months in and go, "Oh, this is a crappy website and we should have never done this." You fail faster. That's like one of the sayings, let's fail faster so we can always be improving and learning. So, and part of that, you always do a retrospective, and what worked, what didn't. And you kind of come out of that with like, what one or two things do we want to work on as a team, maybe the next sprint. So that's, my background of thinking about that stuff. So like, I'm always probably going to be looking backwards, until I figure out like what works and what doesn't, and then maybe have to stop worrying about that. But when I watch other content creators who are successful, I feel like they're always looking back. Like, even like, there's a guy I watch that has like 3 million subscribers, and if he starts to dip even like 10,000 subscribers, or like his view on a couple videos dips, he's on Twitter asking like for
wow,
feedback, or like, "Hey, what happened with these?"
yeah,
And so here I am with 378 subscribers on YouTube, and like a guy with 3 million is still like going through the same battles, I think, internally of like, "Oh, why isn't this working? I need to
that's
scrap
interesting.
this and
That's
rethink
interesting.
it and whatever." So I think that's part of
That's
the creative process.
Yeah, that's certainly true in marketing where you might be managing the Coca-Cola plan. That's Coca-Cola brand. That's actually not that drastically different than Shasta. It's just on a much bigger scale.
Right.
And the process doesn't necessarily need to differentiate. Um, but what I think is what you're alluding to is perhaps, making sure you are reviewing everything you've done, but that means with the agile approach, producing more and more and more. Is,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
is that accurate? That's
I think so. Um, yeah, I think that's accurate. I don't know how to really go off of that, but I agree with you.
as a marketing guy, I hear about this Star Wars ride, right? And so I think about what marketing used to be when you had maybe two or three channels. You had, and by channels I mean methods of connecting
Right.
with customers, like a print ad, like a TV commercial, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I used to be able to, and marketers love this moment. You used to be able to introduce like a TV spot to a crowded room. It's your new brand campaign. Here's going to be your Super Bowl ad, or
Mm-hmm.
or on a lesser scale, maybe it's in a Kansas versus K-State game in my case, or something like that. And you're so thrilled this spot is perfect, and you set it up the way you want, and you deliver it, and then it's going to be in the media, and you're going to see a lift in new customers, new accounts, and things like that. We haven't even talked about that type of stuff in this podcast because that doesn't necessarily work anymore. I think what
Mm-hmm.
differentiates marketing is the agility also, and the ability to, whether you're the Star Wars ride, you love the great spectacle, but what's going to humanize that to the viewers on it? How are they going to interact with that on 6 different social networks, of which we've all name checked in this episode? And I always joke, it's like marketers used to be great film directors, back to that analogy, and now we've got to be great improv persons.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm on A&E with this mic in front of a brick wall. That reference goes way above most of our listeners.
Right. Definitely. Well,
What is the deal with improv?
who are the ad wizards?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. That's probably some of the things we'll want to touch on in future episodes, like why did this work, or what's some nugget of gold you can take away as you look back at something.
Right. And and I think the interesting thing you said was, it's not just the Star Wars attraction. It's how do I connect with them on top
Yes.
of this, like emotionally with them, like during that reveal or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think what I found is like the guy I enjoy the most, like to watch, his name is Paging Mr. Morrow. But when I originally started to watch him, he kind of annoyed me because he's kind of this goofball. Like he just laughs, like whatever he thinks is funny he'll just laugh like a kid almost. But the more I watched him, it's genuine. Like
Yeah.
you can tell it's not an act. So like he's just grown on me, and like so whatever he does, like it's just like he's having the most fun you can have doing this, and he's bringing you along with him. So it's basically like you're hanging out at the park with your friend. Like that's the goal I have in mind with like what I want this to be, because that's
Yeah.
what I watch.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoyed, like especially during the pandemic, where luckily these people could still go to the parks when they reopened, but like they were helping thousands and thousands of people like with an escape, like because you couldn't really travel and like you couldn't do things. Hell, you could barely go to the grocery store,
Right.
and here's these people out going to your favorite place daily still for you and like taking you there. So there is
It's
that
like you're
emotional
an adult. You're
connection. Like you
yeah.
almost feel like you're friends with them, where like I've listened to podcasts, and you have too. We were very early podcast, adopters, but
Yeah.
I think I go back to like 2005, and I was listening to like Disney World podcasts. Like they were already that
Yeah.
niche in the podcast world, which was what I always thought was so cool about podcasting. And now YouTube's gone there, like eventually, where every hobby has something, But the thing I always really loved about podcasting is you feel like you become friends with those people. Like
Yeah.
like we listen to Around the NFL.
Right.
Like we have a text chain with another friend where we actually talk about the podcast
Right.
and talk about the guys on it and like the fights they get in on the show or whatever. Like we're friends with them almost because
Yeah.
we've all listened to the show for years and like we understand it. Like, and we're part of that community now. And like,
Yeah.
but it is that it sounds weird to say, but like when you and I like will say like, oh, Dan was kind of salty or whatever, it's like we're literally talking about this guy like he's a friend of
Like
ours.
we know
We've
him, and
never
like
met
we
any
have
of them.
any
We
idea
probably
what
never
what
will.
really is
But
behind the.
when you listen to them for thousands of hours, like
Yeah.
they are part of your life. Like
Yeah.
when Chris died, like one of the guys on the show died. Like I actually cried. He was my
Yeah.
favorite guy. Like it
Yeah.
and like I've had a couple of those moments where I'm sitting there going, I'm crying about someone that died that does a podcast I like. And
Yeah.
like so to me that's like they're doing a great job if their fan base is like that in. So you
Yeah.
like for example like their subreddit is very popular. Like so they've built a community also on top of that stuff. And that's what I want. You know, I want
Yeah.
that community. And it's not, yes, obviously I'd like to make money and a living off this, but like the community really, like, I just want that to build something like that. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's not just to sell merch and stuff like that. It really is just to have that, like, I just think that'd be so cool. I don't know how to explain it, but
No, I think you did explain it. That's some of what people are obviously looking for in the
right.
marketplace.
Yep.
We're gravitating towards one podcast, or if the YouTube channel has a following that's seized on his authenticity, no matter how much he's produced it or not. You do have to earn these types of communities, like we're
Yeah.
talking about, and I think being ready to earn it is a lot of what we're going to go into on future episodes as we talk about
Yep.
marketing steps and what you learn as you fail fast
Right.
or reposition. So thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you riding with us through this roller coaster of branding and content creation and marketing. Yes, you too can be a marketing expert that can drop branding into a piece of copy like that. Anyway, we're also learning how to close our own episodes. So this is art and science,
It's a
but
work in
this is
progress.
John Hanley. Yeah, great science and art. And we always go back and forth here. It's been John Hanley. Thanks for joining us. Always, as always,
Fab the theme park giant.
and we'll see you on social media and see you next time. Thank you.